What's up, y'all? This is Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric.
And I'm David.
And we're going to stop talking about David's Icelandic gin, and we're going to talk about sports. Because, yay, sports and gin. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. It's pretty cool. Right, so the Blues traded Jake Allen to Montreal. He is now Montreal Canadiens. The Blues got draft picks and some cap space. Missouri will play their first game against Alabama on the 26th. They announced that that's going to be a 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. So there's that.
Hopefully I'll be there in person.
Yeah, there you go. The soccer stadium, they're building it. But really, we're here to talk about the Cardinals. Things are up and down, I'd say. What do you make of the Reds series overall?
A solid series for the team itself. Batting, once again, put up some runs, except for that last game. They're such an average lineup, and they're super inconsistent. Defense was better. They still need to work on some things from the last week or so. It's been atrocious watching them play defense. However, they seem to straighten a few things out, so they didn't look near as bad as they did before. Other than that, I mean, they're playing okay baseball.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Cardinals did absolutely nothing at the trading deadline, right? It's hard. I think it's clear that John Mozeliak and the rest of the front office has all the faith in the world in guys like Dylan Carlson, Schrock, Lane Thomas, Brad Miller. I think it's clear they've got faith in those guys to get the team into the playoffs and contend for the division.
I'm not even sure it's faith. It's more of none of these guys really have trade value. So who are you going to get for them? Number one. And number two, they want to see what they got, especially in the young guys, because they're going to have to make a decision if they decide, yes, we do need to go out and get somebody. At that point, then you do look at trading. So I think they're taking a hands-off approach this time around to wait until the offseason, and that's when I think you're going to see all the moves.
And with this season being so screwed up for the Cardinals with, what was it, 17 days off, I think it was, and with the whole COVID deal and doubleheaders left and right and all the chaos that is this season, if they were to come out and say, you know what, we probably could have made some moves, but this whole thing, the whole schedule situation just really, we didn't feel comfortable making judgments off of this season, I'd buy it. I'd be frustrated, but I'd accept that as an answer, to be honest with you.
I mean, I guess the biggest frustration is the fans feel like the front office hasn't done anything, not only this year, but for like the last 3 or 4 years. So,
oh, yeah.
So I get where they're coming from, but I really think this year they may have made the best call because you don't want to dump your pitching is probably your strongest point, and at this point, it's the only thing keeping us in games. So I don't want to get rid of our pitching.
Yeah, well, when you look at the Cardinals lineup, Matt Carpenter, 175, Dylan Carlson, 176, Tyler O'Neill, 178. Harrison Bader, a blistering 196. That's not good enough. I mean, one of those guys is like, oh, well, maybe this whole schedule screwed up. 2 guys would be a problem. That's 4.
Well, and the one guy who was actually doing pretty well and hitting like 270s is now on the IL, Dexter Fowler. And
yeah, Fowler. Let's see, I got it pulled up here. Yeah, Fowler's about batting 289.
Yeah,
279, excuse me. 279.
I know he's gotten a lot of shtick, if you will, from fans, but he's actually had a really good season this year. So
You got second most home runs on the club.
It hurts to lose them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fowler, as much crap as he's gotten, and deservedly so, especially for 2018, he's been pretty good. So, yeah, it sucks to lose him. I didn't think we'd ever say that about Fowler, to be honest with you, but here we are.
Well, it's a happy thing considering how much we're paying him.
Yeah. Now, I want to pull up. I should have done this before we started. I'm sorry. Let's take a look at the NL Central standings. Coming into play on Friday, the Cardinals are in second place in the NL Central at 14-14, and even 500. They are 3.5 games back of the Cubs, who sit at 22-15. The Brewers are in third place, 1 game back of the Cardinals. They're at 17-19. So, coming into play, the Cardinals, what was the graphic? The MLB on Fox had this graphic where if the playoffs were to start, the Cardinals would be the 6th seed playing the 3rd-seeded Braves.
Huh.
Yeah. Marcelo Ozuna would come out and say, "Hi, guys, remember me?" and hit 5 home runs in a 3-game sweep.
Now, I'm glad they're in the position for the playoffs, but I don't want to play Braves.
No.
At least not in the first round.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think the best the Cardinals can hope for is probably that 5 seed. The way all the division leaders are looking and the way the Padres are looking, I don't see the Cardinals doing better than a 5 seed.
Yeah. Don't forget, although they had an off day yesterday, they only have, one more off day, and they have something like 5 or 6 doubleheaders coming up.
Right.
So they're gonna be taxed both pitching and hitting wise. So
the Cardinals had 2 off days for the month of September, and one of them was September 3rd.
Which they needed.
Oh, they needed it, but if they could have gone about 5 more games or so, it would have been nice if you were trying to draw it up for yourself perfectly. But the Cardinals have an opportunity.
The young guys have to show up, all our outfielders specifically. Bader has actually –
Go ahead.
Bader has actually been hitting the ball better in the last series or two, even though his average doesn't show it. But if he can stay consistent and hold on to his position, now you're asking the other 2 guys, whoever it's going to be, whether it's Lane Thomas, Dylan Carlson, or Tyler O'Neill, you need 2 more people to step up and play consistently with the bat. I know with Fowler out, it's a good time to see what our young guys have and if there's any possibility of a decent player coming out of that group. Because if there's not, like I was saying earlier, that's when the Cardinals need to do something in the offseason with our outfield. Whether you get rid of all of them or I don't know.
I maintain the Cardinals need a third baseman who's going to hit you 20, 25 home runs and drive in 80+.
Well, and they have that
250 or better.
They have that right now in was it Miller?
Oh, well, yeah. If Brad Miller can keep it up, I mean, I don't know. Every time I see a Cardinals prospect come up and tear the cover off the ball for one season, I get flashbacks of Aledmus Diaz.
Yeah, but he's not a prospect. He came from Cleveland. And he has significant playing time in a major, so it's not like we don't know what he is. He's a power guy who just happens to be ripping the cover off the ball right now. Hopefully he can keep that up because he's a good protection behind Goldschmidt. DeYoung swinging the bat well.
Yes.
Would you put him behind Goldschmidt, or would you leave Miller right now?
Right now, right now, I think it depends on power because you got Goldschmidt batting third, right? So right now it's a nice position because Brad Miller's batting 333 and Paul DeYoung's batting 311. I'm good with either one batting cleanup, but I would go, honestly, right now, I'd go Brad Miller.
He's showing more power.
Yes, that's exactly why.
Not that DeYoung doesn't have it. He's just the one hitting the home runs right now.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I'm taking a look at the page that got the Cardinals ranked by batting average, and it's exactly 1 to 4 for batting average is exactly how I would have the Cardinal lineup from 3 to 6. Goldschmidt, then Brad Miller, then Paul DeYoung, and then Yachty batting 6th, which is weird. You know, if you wanted to get creative, you could put Yachty in the 2 spot. He's batting 303. I know he doesn't have the speed, but I mean, 300 average. You don't got to run that hard if you're knocking the ball into the outfield.
I agree with you, but I think the difference with Yachty is he plays better with runners on base. Because he changes his whole approach to his at-bats. That's when you see him start slapping to left and right field and taking the pitch as it goes. His best approach is when people are on, so I would keep him down in the order where he is. If you move him up if you move him up to the 2 hole, he's going to be pressing, and with his speed, it's not going to help him at all.
I would trust him to do it personally. I would trust him up there because you look at like Edman and Wong, they're both 273 and 256, just kind of there.
I mean, really, other than those 4 guys, everyone's just kind of there.
Yeah. But don't worry. Bill DeWitt saved enough money by not signing important players. He bought Eva Longoria's house, so we're good.
And don't forget, he has all that new income from Ballpark Village Phase 2.
Oh, gosh. I still am floating the conspiracy theory that he is penny pinching because he's going to sell the club within a couple of years, and he's just slowly starting the process of cashing out.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, if things go back to normal, Ballpark Village is going to be a cash cow, especially with the new additions.
Oh, will be. But Bill DeWitt's also, in his 60s? He's thinking about retirement, and he's thinking about just going to Eva Longoria's house and making a raft out of $100 bills and just doing nothing.
I was thinking his son or somebody would take over, though.
That's what I would do, is work out some deal. But, hey, you know what? Billionaires, impossible to judge. Now, the Cardinals have an opportunity to make some ground up on the Cubs. They're starting a series this weekend at Wrigley Field, and there's a runs are going to be hard to come by, at least on paper, for Friday's game. Jack Flaherty versus Yu Darvish, the reigning NL pitcher of the month. Both pitchers have ERAs under 2. So we're certain. I think everyone's expecting like 3 runs to win this game, which means that's either going to be the case or the game's going to be 10-9.
Well, is the wind blowing out? It is at Wrigley.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Exactly.
Number 2, how long does Flaherty go? Because the last couple of games he was still on a pitch count. So
he's been getting stretched out. I'm going off memory here. I think his last start he got to 83. So I feel like
they'll just let him go today.
Assuming he's effective, he's going to get to 9,500 pitches.
So I would love to see him go 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
pull
Like I said,
away,
it's an opportunity for the Cardinals to make up some ground.
pull away now and do a complete game. Lord knows
Yeah,
how
no
that.
kidding.
I don't know how that guy does it, but
Yeah, Wainwright is just astonishing. I didn't know he's the oldest player in the National League, and he pulled that off. I didn't know that.
well, he
But
is
I
no.
just realized what he's the oldest dude in the National League, and he's throwing to Yachty. It was his 2000s game. That just blew me away. That game was the inspiration for our last video, the Yachty and Waino tribute.
Yeah. Who's older, him or Bartolo Colon? I know who's lighter.
Oh gosh, Bartolo Colon could eat Wainwright.
Either way, both of them are still in the league. It's impressive.
Did you see? This is 2, maybe 3 years ago now. Bartolo Colon was pitching for the Mets, and he hits a home run.
Yes.
And all right, so the whole dugout clears. The manager is the only person in the dugout and he just, you can tell he's like covering his face so he's not laughing. Kind of just pats him on like the hip or the butt as he goes by, and then Cologne goes to the far end of the dugout, takes off the batting gloves and helmet and all that, and then the entire dugout like runs down and starts celebrating with him. The Mets announcers were just dying laughing in the booth, and the one called it one of the great moments in baseball history.
It was his first ever home run, wasn't it?
Huh?
It was his first ever home run, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's why everyone was losing their mind. But then a day or two later, there's an article on Deadspin, rag that it is. The headline is like, somebody put Bartolo Colon's home run in the natural where it belongs.
That is glorious.
So it literally cuts from clips of the natural, the last at bat, right?
Yeah.
Where Roy Hobbs swings, he's got the bloody uniform.
And the light shatters.
Exactly. So it just shows Bartolo Colon swinging the bat, and then it's like the ball in the natural taking off and hitting the lights. It is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Now, back to the Cardinals.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's weird that here we are. We're filming this September 4th, and September 4th, you should be feeling the pressure of a pennant race, right? Meanwhile, the Cardinals, they're feeling the pressure of the pennant race, but it's also, all right, guys, now that our feet wet, we're coming up on 30 games played here. And at the same time, all right, we're almost at that halfway point. And also all right, less than a month to go. It's all those at once, which is just, it's weird because you have different mindsets at each part of the season, right?
Well, and that's why I think they stood pat with the trade deadline. I feel like with this season, the trade deadline's so early. You don't know what you need. And especially with this team off for 17 days, they're just getting going. So
yeah, it's impossible to know.
That's why I think they just did nothing this time around. That's why I say
that's what I was saying earlier is if they were to come out and say COVID screwed everything up, it's impossible for us to make a complete assessment. So we figured why risk a stupid trade.
And right now they're in the playoffs technically if they end the season. So
right. I mean, honestly, the way the National League is looking, it's going to be like the NBA Eastern Conference where 500 gets you in the playoffs and not as the last seed.
I mean, that's what happens when you expand to 16 teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Uh,
but I'd like to see the Cardinals come out swinging against Darvish. If they can hit him early, and Flaherty buckles down, I think we can win tonight's game.
yeah. Don't. Yeah. I think aggressiveness is going to be paramount. Don't sit there and let yourself get into an 0-2, 1-2 kind of hole.
Well, just don't let him get settled right off the bat.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have been real good at taking counts deep and looking for their pitch. I don't know if you can do that against Darvish. He's the type of pitcher where you got to swing early, otherwise you're dead anyway.
Right. But yeah, after this series, you could, in theory, have first place St. Louis Cardinals. In theory, not gonna happen if you're asking me, because it's the Cardinals at Wrigley Field. Unless it's that awesome series at the end of last season, things don't go well.
Well, and if you're following the hitting patterns, they just scored a crap ton of runs against the Reds, so I don't see many runs being scored in this series.
Well, I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, Cardinals scored what was it, 16?
They averaged 9 runs a game, 30 for the series, and the big one was 16.
16, right.
Yeah.
So I told her, I'm like, yeah, Cardinals scored 16 runs. She said, whoa. I'm like, yeah. The problem with that is that means that the Cardinals are going to score like 3 runs in their next 4 games.
So
because that's baseball in general, and especially the Cardinals. So in that sense, I think a day off was well timed. So we'll see. Cardinals could be out of the playoffs or in first place by the time this series is over. But yeah, that's all I've got.
That's all I have as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our other social media sites as well: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and as always, our YouTube channel under the Arch Sports.
Yeah, hey, Yadier Molina creeping up on 2,000 hits. He's got 1986 right now. Remember, hashtag Yadi Watch.
14 left to go.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
Take care.